Hello, everyone. Rovio reported its Q1 results today, and we're going to go through the results and some other topics with Rovio CEO Alexandre Pelletier-Normand. Hi, Alex, and have a happy Vappu.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me again.
Yeah, you had pretty nice quarter. So, would you like to tell us the highlights of it?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's fair to say that it was a very good quarter for Rovio. And I think it feels particularly good because, as you know, the mobile free-to-play market has been facing some headwinds. It was the third consecutive quarter-on-quarter decline for the market. So to grow by 25% during that time is pretty good. And, there's many factors actually that can explain the growth. And of course, we had a new games releasing at the beginning of the year. So that's always good. Plus, the catalog of game as well performed extremely well. Angry Birds 2 grew 20% year on year. I think it's quite remarkable. We have Angry Birds Friends grew 12%. So, a lot of good things happening on top of that. Of course, we have Ruby Games that was completely consolidated, and they had a really good quarter as well. So, a lot of things happening at the same time. So we're obviously very happy about the quarter, but also very cognizant that the market is facing some headwinds right now.
Yeah, I'm just curious about, because the market is on overall is pretty weak, and you are still performing so well. So what's the secret behind that? Because I think the UA landscape, for example, for many companies is pretty tough right now.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely true. It's been, there's been a lot of volatility in the UA market. And, I think the fact that, I was mentioning before in one of our earlier discussion that I think we have the right strategy, right? We have the right game for this type of market that, makes it very hard to target, specific users and, very precisely. And our games are so inclusive that, it fits well with that type of approach. But I think we should not underestimate the role that our series of tools that we have as well at Rovio that we developed in the past, over 10 years are helping us, because we were really, ready for this. I think a lot of people making advertisement, they lost visibility on iOS during the ATT, enforcement, and we were ready. So we knew more or less quite precisely actually if our investment were working or not. So we were comfortable continue to investing, and so it was perfect to use this opportunity and grow some of the games further. Of course, you need to couple this with very good live ops in our games, which was the case for the quarter. So we're happy with the results.
All right. So you launched your new game, Angry Birds Journey, on January. So how has the scaling of the game gone so far?
Yeah, I mean, first, let me start by saying that we're super happy to have launched this game and, to bring the slingshot genre to a different audience as well. It's one of those games that I don't know if you played, but it's so, everybody likes it. It's so inclusive as well as a type of game. So we're super happy about this. And there's many factors that explain why the game did well. I think at launch, one of them, of course, was that, Angry Birds has a lot of fans, and the platforms know this. So we got good support from the platform. They featured the game. Also, it was fitting the market that I was describing earlier, a super wide appeal type of game. And I think those two elements opened the door for us to do quite significant UA investment that we knew would be profitable. So all of those things led to, I think it was the best launch month of a game for Rovio ever, right? So that's very positive. And but of course, it's the beginning. It's the beginning of a long road. You've been following our games. You know that when we're releasing a game, especially an Angry Birds game, it's not for a quarter. It's for a very long period of time. So we're at the beginning of the road there, but we're super excited to have it.
Yeah. So the UA costs were pretty high on the Q1 due to the launch of Angry Birds Journey. So how is the UA outlook for the coming quarters?
Yeah, we guided before Q1 that our UA investment would be around 40% of our games revenue. Actually, it was slightly lower than we expected. I think it was 38.1 in the end. So slightly lower, but still very high, obviously, because we're launching a new game. And now we think that the second quarter will be slightly lower, kind of going back to a more, normal level, if you will. Of course, launch quarters are especially high. So we're because we did this push on Angry Birds Journey, now we're trying to optimize those investments, so trying to get the same amount of users, but by spending a little bit less. So that's a work of optimization that needs to happen. But also we have in the month of June a marketing campaign in the US, including TV spot with celebrities as well. So that's another another push that we're going to give to the game. So really looking forward to see how this is going to unfold.
Okay, let's then talk about Ruby Games. How was Ruby's first quarter, and how is the new game Hunter Assassin 2 developing in the soft launch?
Yeah, Ruby, they did very well. The progression quarter on quarter was 49%. It's super nice to see this. But what's also interesting is that the game that was the most successful for them was a game that is called Ward Us, and we didn't really see it coming, right? I mean, which is very often the case in hyper casual games. We start seeing them, grow in the chart very fast. They did that multiple times during the quarter. They had 7 games that reached the top 100 download in the US. So we're super proud of them. We're really happy to have them in the family. When it comes to Hunter Assassins 2, we thought that we would release it a little bit earlier during the year, but we still have work to do. Remember, it's a new genre of game for Rovio and Ruby. So that's kind of a mix between hyper casual games and more casual games. So we know that the game is working, the virality is there, we see it in the number of downloads, but we're working on really long-term engagement, which is not something that typically we work on a lot in hyper-casual games because they have a shorter lifespan. So we're still working on this with other studios of Rovio as well that are expert in those type of things. So let's see how this develops in the following months.
All right. Then maybe was there any other highlights of the games portfolio that you want to mention on this interview?
Well, I think there's a few surprises still in the pipeline, but nothing that we're ready to announce today. So in terms of the games that we talked about in the earnings call, there's still our Moomin games is in soft launch. We're still working on Hunter Assassins 2, but nothing else to announce at the moment.
All right. Let's then talk a little bit about the M&A market. There's been lots of consolidation in the gaming industry, and especially in the past few years. So what are your thoughts on the M&A, especially in the mobile gaming segment?
Yeah, we've seen big transactions this year. And I think one of the things that is happening is that those big, distribution platform realize that they need to have gaming as part of the offer. So we do believe that we're going to continue seeing, big and small transactions as well on the market. For us, the strategy haven't really changed. We continue to execute on it. We want to make transactions that are accretive, so that we're really picky in those type of things. So we're looking for teams that really want to be the best in the world at a specific genre, and where Rovio can help. I think it's good to note as well that, I've mentioned this a little bit earlier in this call, that, we have been working on tools for a very long period of time. We have our central teams that help in, BI analysis and UA and all of those things. And that we saw in the quarter that we can really benefit from this, but we also feel that there's a lot of companies out there that can also benefit from this. So those are interesting cases for us when we look for M&A. So it's definitely still very much part of our strategy.
All right. Thank you, Alex, for this interview. And I think after this quarter, it's time for a little celebration. So
Absolutely.
happy Vappu.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.